Kang the Conqueror is the most terrifying villain in the entire Marvel Universe. And no, it's not even close. Unlike Thanos, he doesn't need a single Infinity Stone to wipe out half the universe. He doesn't need superpowers. He doesn't need an army. He only needs time itself. This man has conquered entire realities, erased superheroes before they were even born, and rules over countless versions of himself. He's not just one villain, he's every villain across the multiverse. But who really is Kang the Conqueror? Where did he come from? How did a single man become a warlord of time? And most importantly, can the Avengers even stop him? Before we begin, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and share it. And please drop a comment below to share your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think about the topic I'm discussing. Well, that's where things get interesting, because Kang wasn't always a villain. In fact, before he was a time-traveling conqueror, he was just a man named Nathaniel Richards. But one choice, one mistake, turned him into something far worse than Thanos could ever be. And the most terrifying part? This isn't just a villain you can fight. This is a villain that already won before the battle even started. Before Kang became one of the most feared beings in the multiverse, he had a very different name, Nathaniel Richards. Now, if that last name sounds familiar, that's because it should. Nathaniel Richards was born in the 31st century and is believed to be a direct descendant of Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, or maybe Dr. Doom. Marvel never confirmed which one for sure, but either way, his bloodline was tied to some of the smartest and most dangerous minds in history. And unlike the war-torn worlds of the past, Nathaniel's future was a utopia. No wars, no crime, no chaos, just peace. But here's the thing about peace. It's boring. Nathaniel was a scholar, fascinated by history. But more than anything, he was obsessed with one thing, time travel. And one day he discovered something he was never meant to find, an ancient time machine. It was based on the technology of Victor Von Doom. And the moment Nathaniel laid his hands on it, his entire destiny changed. Because instead of just studying the past, he decided to control it. And so he traveled back thousands of years to a place where he could become a god, ancient Egypt. This was his first mistake. What he didn't realize was that tampering with time would start a chain reaction, one that wouldn't just shape his future, but the entire multiverse. Arriving in 2960 BC, Nathaniel Richards was no longer just a man. With technology from the future, he easily overpowered the people of Egypt and made himself their ruler. He called himself Ramatut. This wasn't just about ruling. This was about rewriting history. Nathaniel had access to everything. Every war, every victory, every moment of the past. He could control it all. But then something happened that he didn't predict. The Fantastic Four arrived. Yes, the same Fantastic Four from the modern era. They had traveled back in time accidentally, and when they discovered a futuristic tyrant ruling ancient Egypt, they weren't exactly thrilled. They battled Ramatut, and against all odds, they won. Forced to escape, Nathaniel barely survived. He fled through time trying to return home, but instead, he landed somewhere far worse, and what he found there would change him forever. Nathaniel didn't return to the utopia he came from. Instead, he overshot his destination by thousands of years. And what he found wasn't just another civilization, it was a wasteland, a future so far removed from anything he had known that it was almost unrecognizable. Entire cities lay in ruin, their once great towers reduced to rubble. The sky was thick with smoke, and the land was scarred by war. Humanity had fallen into chaos. The few survivors clung to existence, living in fear, scavenging for scraps, their histories long forgotten. But where others saw destruction, Nathaniel saw opportunity. He realized something terrifying, yet exhilarating. If he couldn't rule the past, he would rule the future. Nathaniel used his knowledge of history and science to scavenge the last remnants of advanced technology buried beneath the ruins. He redesigned himself with armor that surpassed even the greatest minds of the past. He built weapons that could crush entire civilizations before they had a chance to rise. But more than that, he created a new identity. He was no longer Nathaniel Richards. That name belonged to a mere scholar, a man of curiosity and ambition. Now he was Kang the Conqueror. This was no longer about rewriting history. This was about controlling all of time itself. The chaos, the wars, the destruction of the future, they would all serve him. He would take this shattered timeline and forge it into his empire. Every reality, every era, every version of history would kneel before him. Unlike Thanos, who sought to balance the universe, Kang had no such delusions of righteousness. He didn't want balance. He wanted control, absolute domination. And what made him truly unstoppable? He had already seen every possible outcome. He had witnessed his own victories and his enemies' failures. Every battle, every war, every strategy, he had already lived them. Because Kang wasn't just fighting in the present, he was already waiting for them in the future. So, how dangerous is Kang? Well, let's put it this way. He doesn't just travel through time. He erases people from existence. He doesn't just fight one superhero team. He fights every superhero team across multiple realities all at once. His armor? It's beyond anything Iron Man could ever build. Powered by future technology, it enhances his strength, generates force fields, and allows him to exist outside of time itself. But his most terrifying weapon? His mind. He's a military genius who has conquered entire civilizations before they were even born. And if you thought fighting one Kang was bad, just wait until you meet the Council of Kangs. Here's where things get really insane. Kang isn't just one person. There are infinite versions of him. Some are weaker, some are stronger, and some are much worse. The Council of Kangs is an army of Kangs from across the multiverse. Some work together, some betray each other. And now, thanks to the events of Loki and Ant-Man, Quantumania, this army is rising. Which means the Avengers aren't just fighting one villain. They're fighting infinite versions of the same villain, all at once. And that's a battle they can't win. Or can they? Now here's the real question. If Kang is everywhere, if he's across all of time, how do you stop him? Because even if the Avengers defeat one, another will take his place. Is this the beginning of the end for the MCU heroes? Or is there a way to take down a villain who exists in every possible future? To truly understand the scale of Kang's threat, we need to dive deeper into his origins. Nathaniel Richards wasn't just a man who stumbled upon a time machine. He was a product of a society that had mastered the art of peace, but had forgotten the value of struggle. In his utopian future, humanity had achieved perfection, but at the cost of ambition. Nathaniel's obsession with history wasn't just a hobby, it was a rebellion against the monotony of his existence. He longed for the chaos and unpredictability of the past, not realizing that his actions would unleash a chaos far greater than he could have imagined. When Nathaniel first arrived in ancient Egypt as Ramatut, he didn't just see an opportunity to rule, he saw a chance to reshape the world in his image. His reign as Ramatut was marked by both brilliance and brutality. He introduced advanced technology to a primitive society, elevating Egypt to heights it had never known. But his rule was also tyrannical, as he sought to erase any resistance to his vision of the future. The arrival of the Fantastic Four wasn't just a setback, it was a wake-up call. For the first time, Nathaniel realized that even with all his knowledge and power, he wasn't invincible. But it was his journey to the distant future that truly transformed him. The wasteland he encountered wasn't just a random point in time, it was the result of countless timelines colliding and collapsing. Nathaniel's experiments with time travel had already begun to destabilize the multiverse, and the future he found was a grim reminder of the consequences of his actions. Yet instead of being deterred, Nathaniel embraced the chaos. He saw the broken future not as a warning, but as a blank canvas. Kang's rise to power wasn't just about conquering, it was about survival. In a multiverse teetering on the edge of collapse, he positioned himself as the one constant. His mastery of time allowed him to navigate the chaos, always staying one step ahead of his enemies. But his greatest strength, his ability to see every possible outcome, was also his greatest weakness. Kang's obsession with control blinded him to the unpredictable nature of free will. No matter how many timelines he conquered, there was always one variable he couldn't account for. the heroes who refuse to give up. The Council of Kangs is a testament to Nathaniel's fractured psyche. Each version of Kang represents a different path he could have taken, a different choice he could have made. Some are ruthless conquerors, while others are cunning strategists. But all of them share one thing in common, an unshakable belief in their own superiority. The Council's rise signals a new era of conflict, not just for the Avengers, but for the entire multiverse. So can the Avengers stop Kang? The answer lies not in brute force, but in understanding the nature of time itself. Kang's power comes from his ability to manipulate time, but time is also his greatest enemy. Every decision he makes creates a new timeline, and every timeline brings with it new possibilities. The key to defeating Kang may lie in embracing the chaos he fears. By forging alliances across timelines, by uniting heroes from different realities, and by finding a way to outthink the man who has already seen every outcome. The battle against Kang isn't just a fight for survival, it's a fight for the soul of the multiverse. And as the Avengers prepare to face their greatest challenge yet, one thing is certain: the stakes have never been higher. Let me know your theories in the comments. And if you want to stay ahead of all the biggest Marvel reveals, hit that subscribe button now, because rumors suggest that the Kang dynasty is just getting started.